So now, since we have fractions in this equation, guys, look at my denominators for all of them. And can you tell me what do you think the LCD will be for me to multiply to get rid of these fractions? Anyone have an idea?
19.
19, yeah. Since they're all 19, we can multiply the whole equation by 19. Now we're gonna do 19 times 5x, which is 95x. Let me double check. 5 times 9 is 45. Yep, 95x. Then we're gonna do 19 times negative 1 over 19. That's a fraction. And then so we're gonna make 19 into a fraction by doing it over 1. So then we get negative 1 over 19 times 19 over 1. You put a dot, you can put parentheses, doesn't really matter. As long as you just show that you're multiplying. And then we're gonna do 19 times negative 4x. 19 times negative 4 will be 76 minus 76x equals 4 over 19 times 19 over 1 plus 5 over 19 times 19 over 1. Now I'm going to show you a math trick with this problem. If we multiply two fractions next to each other, like right here we do negative 1 over 19, 19 over 1. If we have a number on top of the fraction and that same number in the bottom of the fraction, we can actually use algebra to cancel those 19s out. And then the new fraction will be the numbers left over. So on top, we will have negative 1, and on bottom, we'll have a what? A 1. Now, if we have over 1, like we have a something over 1, it's just the 1. We can get rid of this bottom part. Like we can ignore it. We don't have to put it. Because we know every whole number is technically divided by 1. So here, negative 1 over 1 is just negative 1. Now bring down the 95x. Bring down this minus 76x. Now let's try the same rule on the right side. 4 over 19 times 19 over 1. We have the same number on top and bottom, so we can cancel it out. And we have left with 4 over 1, which is just 4. All right, let's take a look at the second fraction here. Same rule applies, right? The 19 and 19s cancel. We're left plus 5 over 1, which is just 5. And now we go ahead and use algebra to solve. Now on the right side, are there any like terms? Well, 4 plus 5 are like terms, so that gives me 9. Here I have 95 minus 76. Subtract those two. And we get 19. X minus 1. I want to solve for x, so I gotta get x by itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 1. And again, 19x equals 10. Divide both sides by 19 because I want to get x alone. So I get x equals 10 over 19, and I am done. All right, guys, are there any questions on this one? Let's go ahead and move on. Solve the equation 1/5 plus a equals -7/10. We need to find the LCD of the two denominators, 5 and 10. Now we can tell that multiples of 5 after 5 is 5, 10. 10 is here, so the LCD will be 10. We're gonna multiply the whole thing by 10. Now remember, how do I make a 10 into a fraction, guys? Over what? Over 1. Okay, good. So it'll be times 10 over 1. Plus 10 times a is just 10a equals -7/10 times 10 over 1. Now look at the left side of this fraction. So it's gonna be 1 times 10, which is 10, and over 5 times 1, which is 5. So it's 10 over 5 plus 10a equals. Now here we could multiply at top like -7 times 10 and then over 10 times 1. Or look at the trick I taught you last example. What can we do to our tens, guys? We can cancel them out. So we're left with -7/1, which is just -7. Well, let's simplify this fraction. 10/5 is just 2. So it's 2 plus 10a equals -7. So now we need to use algebra to solve for a. So I'm gonna subtract by 2 first to get the 10a by itself. So this cancels out. So 10a equals -9. Divide both sides by 10. And we get a equals -9/10. And we're done. What questions do we have for this example, guys, or for this review problem? Nemanuni, good to go, Joshua. All right, let's go ahead and move on, guys. Next problem, solve the equation. So as you're setting it up, you're gonna want to think, what is the LCD of all these three fractions, 6, 7, and 42? 6, 7, and 42. What is the LCD for those three denominators? All right. So let's look at this LCD. What is the LCD of each denominator? 6, 7, and 42. Well, I know 6 does go to 42. I know 7 goes to 42, but let's double check that, right? So we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. We have 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and then 42 is there. So notice how they're all 42. So we're going to multiply this fraction, these equations by 42. Remember, they're fractions, all of them, so we're going to do over 1. So it's going to be 42 over 1 times 1 over 6. And it's going to be negative 9 over 7 times 42 over 1 equals x over 42 times 42 over 1. So we have fraction times a fraction minus fraction times a fraction equals fraction times a fraction. Well, remember the rules. We're going to do the top with the top. So 1 times 42 is 42. 6 times 1 is 6. So it's 42 over 6. Minus 9 times 42. Well, 9 times 42 is 378. Now remember, you're not expected to be a calculator, so always double check, which I'm doing right now. 42 times 9 is 378, so I'm good. Over 7 times 1, right? 7 times 1 is 7 equals. Remember the rule, we have the same number on top and bottom. We can cancel those out. So then we get x over 1, which is just x. So now we simplify these fractions by using our calculator to divide. So we're going to do 42 divided by 6, which gives us 7. And then we're going to do 378 divided by 7, and we get negative 54 equals x. Well, 7 minus 54, that's just a subtraction problem. So 7 take away 54 is negative 47 equals x, which is the same thing as x equals negative 47, and we are done. Notice how once we converted from fractions to non-fractions, they got a little bit easier.
I had a question, sir. How did you find the LCD to be 42? Do we pick the highest number? Like, why wasn't it 6 or 7?
Because so the LCD, remember, the least common denominator is because we have three different denominators, right? We have the 6, the 7, and the 42, right? Well, there's two methods I showed you to find the LCD. The first method is counting by the multiples until we get one number in common with all three. So 6, 7, 42, none of them are in common right now. So I counted by my 6s, and I noticed that my 6s ended up hitting 42. So in order for, and then 42 and 42 are now in common, but now in order for that to be the LCD, 42 needed to be with 7 too. So I did my 7s, 7, 14, 21. And then what happens? We hit what? 42. That is the first number where all three have in common, because the multiples of 42 would be 84 next. but 84 is too big at this point, and we already have a smaller one, which is 42.
Okay, I get it now. Thank you.
Now remember the other method, remember the prime factorization when we do the tree? We can do that as well, and we would still get 42.
Okay, I know we did this before. I just think I forgot.
Yeah,
But
no, and you're okay. And I'm happy that you're asking now as opposed to not asking and starting the test and getting a brain fart. So I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, sir.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Because remember, it's okay if you forget that we've done this. It's okay if you don't remember. It's okay. Remember, you're supposed to study the material. You're not, you cannot expect to watch me do something once and be like, I'm an expert at it. That's not how learning works. You have to try it yourself. That's why I have practice problems in my lessons to really get you exposed to it. All right. Let's keep going. Is anyone still writing before I move on? All right, moving on. Number 10. And these are just exactly how the problems you're going to have during the exam. And guys, I just heard from the Pearson technician, and apparently there's an outage with the software right now, and that the team, Pearson tech team, is currently working to fix it, and that she would email me once it is up and running, which then I would then email you when it's up and running. All right. We have an equation with fractions, x over 8 plus 5 equals 1 over 8. What do anyone want to share what they think the LCD will be for this one?
8.
That is correct. It is going to be 8. We're going to multiply the whole thing by 8. We have a couple of fractions, so we can have over 1. So there's going to be x over 8 times 8 over 1 plus, and then it's distribute the 8 to the 5. 8 times 5 is just 40. And then to the third fraction over here, we get 1 over 8 times 8 over 1. All right. Now let's do some simplification. Remember my little trick I taught you? What's going to happen to
Mommy,
my
I need some paper.
first equation?
Ask mommy.
Sorry about that, guys. So let's go ahead and look at the first two fractions multiply. Anyone tell me what the trick's going to do?
It's going to give us just x.
It's just going to give us x, right? The 8's cancel. We have x over 1, which is just x. Then bring down the plus 40 equals. The 8's are going to cancel on the right side. We give us 1 over 1. It's going to give us 1 over 1, which is just 1. And now our job is to go ahead and solve for x. Subtract 40 on both sides. And we get x equals negative 39.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Concerning the 1 over 8 and the 8 over 1, how do you decide which one you cross out? Because you crossed out the 2 8s. What would be the difference between the 2 8s and the 2 1s?
Well, if you think about it mathematically, we because we could technically cross out the ones too, right? But in reality, what's really happening when we have this here, let me rewrite it in a different color. When we have 1 over 8 times 8 over 1, well, remember the rule. So I did that to make it easier. It's like a simplification process, what we just did when we canceled out the 8s. But if we canceled out the 1s, we're left with what over what? 8 over 8. But what's 8 divided by 8? 1.
I see. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Which gave us the same thing over here, the 1. All right. Anyone need more time to copy this down before I move on? Sometimes I get pretty excited doing math and I kind of go a little too fast sometimes and yeah, so if I'm doing that, just call me out. Anyone need more time to write before I move on? All right, next problem. Now it's an equation with decimals, which we've been exposed to, right? We know it's the same thing as solving a regular equation, but now our solutions may contain decimals, may. Not always the case, right? So I'll give you a few seconds to copy this one down. All right, guys, so x plus 7.2, x plus 7.2 equals 10.1. All right, how do we get x by itself, class? Anyone would like to share the step?
Subtract 7.2 from itself and then 7.2 from 10.
That is correct. So then this cancels out. We get x equals 10.1 minus 7.2, I believe is 2.9. And we are done. All right, moving on, guys. Next problem. Number 12. All right, let's go ahead and solve, guys. So now this is gonna have multiple steps. So draw the line down the equal sign. Get x alone. So to move a positive 1.6 is We're gonna subtract it. It'll be minus 1.6 on both sides. This cancels out, bring down the 0.2x equals negative 0.4. Divide both sides by 0.2. And then we get x equals, plug that into your calculator. Let me go ahead and do that. So it'll be 0.4, make that negative, divided by 0.2, and I got a -2. It's very important that you know how to use your calculator plugging in these types of problems, just because I've realized there's some in my face-to-face classes, I have some students that actually input them in the calculator wrong. So make sure you're practicing how to plug in simple division problems in there. Any questions on the steps that I took here, guys? Does anyone need more time to copy or any questions? All right, let's move on. Number 13. Give you a few seconds to write this down before I get started. All right, let's take a look at this equation. Hopefully you got started on some of it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So draw a line down the equal sign, distribute if you can, and I see the right side we can. 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times negative 3.4 is negative 6.8. Bring down the left side, and let's go ahead and start moving things around. I'm gonna go ahead and move the 8x to the left side, so subtract it. 6x take away negative 8x, or take away x is negative 2x. Bring down the 7.2 equals negative 6.8. Now I'm gonna subtract 7.2 on both sides. Cancels that out, so then we get negative 2x equals negative 6.8 minus 7.2 is negative 14. Divide both sides by negative 2. And we get x equals a positive 7. And we're done. Any questions on what we did on this slide? All right, anyone need more time to copy this down? All right, moving on. All right, we're on 14. Remember, if you can get started on the problem that's presented itself, go ahead. Moving forward, I think this will probably be the last review we do as a class. The rest will just be assigned with a video attached to it if you want to follow along with me. But encouragedly to do it yourself. Because I know this is a lot of your first time in a math class, so I'm really trying to expose to you. So these reviews is pretty much all based off of the notes that we've done so far. So, nothing's really new. All right, 14. We're gonna go ahead and draw a line on the equal sign. We are gonna distribute the 3 to the parentheses. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 1.5 is negative 4.5 equals 8x minus 4.5. Go ahead and subtract 8x on both sides. 6x take away 8x is negative 2x minus 4.5 equals negative 4.5. I'm going to add 4.5 on both sides to move that over. Here it does cancel out, but the same thing, it does cancel out here, but when numbers cancel out, it just pretty much becomes 0. Bring down the negative 2x, divide by negative 2, and we get x is equal to 0, and we're done. Any questions on what we did for this problem, guys, for problem 14? All right. Moving on. Number 15. All right, let's take a look at number 15. Draw a line down the equal sign. Subtract x on both sides. So these cancel out. Bring down the negative 1.78. Bring down the plus 12.1. 0.6 minus 1. So that's what you'll plug in your calculator. 0.6 take away 1 is negative 0.4x. There's an invisible 1 here, right? So then we subtract 12.1 on both sides. So then we get negative 0.4x equals, you owed the bank $1.78 and then you spent another $12.10. So we're gonna owe them negative $13.88. Divide both sides by negative 0.4. X is by itself. Let's divide. We know two negatives makes a positive. And we get positive 34.7. We're done. Any questions on what we did in this example, guys? Any questions at all? All right, would anyone like more time to copy this one down? All right, moving on. Here is 16. What is the sales tax on an iPhone priced at $425 if the sales tax rate is at 9%? So as you're writing the problem down, remember the formula: sales tax is equal to the rate the sales tax rate times the purchase price. Remember, the tax rate needs to be in decimal notation. Can someone be kind enough to tell me what 9% as a decimal would be?
0.09.
0.09. So then we plug into a formula, so we get 0.09 times 425 is the sales tax. Multiply those two in your calculator. So 0.09 times 425, and I got $38.25. Now, am I done, or are they asking me to do more? What, remember, you got to know what the question's asking you and when to stop, when not to stop.
They're just asking for the sales tax.
And did we find that? Yes. All right, would anyone need more time to copy this problem down? Okay, let me know when you're good to go. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on, guys. 17. Give you a few seconds to write it down and read it. It says the purchase price of a computer is $815. What is the total price if the sales tax is 8.5%? One second. All right, sorry guys, I have a maintenance guy coming to my home to fix some issues, but all right. So the purchase price of a computer, so we need, so to find the total price, what's the first thing we need to find, guys? Can anyone shed some light? What do we have to find first? Well, the total price is sales tax plus purchase price. We know the tax rate, we just don't know the sales tax. So we find that first. Which I'm not gonna write the formula for sales tax because I already wrote it for the last example. So we know sales tax is equal to the rate times the purchase price. Can someone tell me what 8.5% as a decimal would be?
0.085.
0.085, that's correct. So we have 0.085 times the purchase price, and this will give me the sales tax. So use your calculator. And I get 69.275. Now, class, is this decimal 275 gonna round up to 28 cents or stay at 27 cents? What are your thoughts?
Round up.
It's gonna round up because it's 5 or more, right? So it's gonna be approximately, so squiggly line, $69.28. And then to get the total price, I'm gonna write this formula because it's our first time doing it. Total price is the sales tax plus purchase price. Which is 69.28 plus 815. Which equals $884.28. All right. Anyone need more time to copy this down before I move on? All right, moving on. Number 18, a new bedroom set sells for $1,400. Find the sales tax and total price if the sales tax rate is 6.5%. Give you a second to write that down. Alright, so let's read the problem and see what it's asking for. So it's telling us here, a new bedroom set sells for 14. We wanna find the sales tax and total price. And the sales tax rate is 6.5%. So are we only finding one thing? Are we finding two things? What do y'all think when you read the problem?
Two.
Two, we wanna find the sales tax first and then the total price. We already gave you the formula for both, so I'm not gonna rewrite those. So I'm gonna find the sales tax first. Which is gonna be 6.5% as a decimal, which is 0.065 times the purchase price of 1,400. Multiply those two. And we get, let me get my calculator. $91 even. Now to get the total price, we're gonna go ahead and add the taxes, 91, plus the purchase price. So then the total we pay for these bedroom set is 1491. And we're done. Now we would box these two because these are they wanted two different answers. Did someone else multiply these and got the same thing? Can someone confirm? But I did use a calculator, but just want to make sure I'm not crazy.
Yes, those are both what I got.
Cool. Thank you, Tony. All right. Anyone need more time to copy this down? All right, I'm going to move on, guys. Here's 19. A sales representative for a large furniture warehouse is paid a commission rate of 4%. Find her commission if she sold $4,271,159 worth of furniture last night. I am now seeing a typo now. This should be two S's. You can see here I'm not perfect as a teacher. We make mistakes too. So the formula for commission is commission equals commission rate times sales. Right, so I'm gonna write the formula out. So it was commission is equal to the commission rate times the sales. Well, the rate's 4%. As a decimal, that's just 0.04 times the sales. They sold 4,271,159. And that's equal to commission. So we're gonna multiply those two values, right? And I got, if someone else can double check with me, $170,846.36.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you. It's a great commission. This large furniture store, if this large furniture warehouse was hiring, I'd be there. Nah, I'm just
What furniture store sells $4 million of furniture in one night, sir?
that's a great question. Yeah. Maybe I should have been a little bit more more realistic for these numbers, but that's funny. Funny stuff. All right, any questions on this problem, guys? Would anyone like additional time to copy this down? All right, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. 20, find the amount of discount and the sell price. So this problem's asking for two things, the amount of discount and the new sell price. Well, I know you're setting it up. I'm gonna write the first formula. I know the amount of discount. The formula for that, which I gave to you already, is pretty much gonna be discount rate times the original price. That is the formula. I'll give you a few moments to write that down. All right. All right, so let's look at the problem setup. So we have original price, we have discount rate. So we have the things we need to find the amount of discount. So the discount rate 5% as a decimal, 0.05, parentheses, original price 34,600. Plugged in, multiply those two values to get the amount of discount. 1 second. 0.05 times 34,600. I got obtained 1,730. And that was the first answer. That's the amount of discount. We're not done though, because it wants the sell price. Well, sell price is equal to original price minus the amount of discount, which is equal to 34,600 minus 1730. So we use our calculator, right? Because we're not geniuses with our mental math, right? We don't have to be good at math. Being a calculator doesn't make you a better mathematician. So our sell price will be $32,870. Are there any questions on the steps we took? Does anyone need more time to copy this down before I move on? Let me know when you're good to go, Joshua. Are you done? I think I saw it. You said done, right? Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, moving on. 21. Finding the simple interest. Give you a second to write that down. While you write it down, I'm gonna give you the formula. So the simple interest formula is I equals capital P times capital R times capital T. The rate has to be in decimal, time has to be in years. All right, let's plug it in. So then we get I equals principal is $400. Rate is 6%, which is 0.06 times time, which is 7 years. Multiply those three values. We get 400 times 0.06 times 7, which is 168. And that is the simple interest for this scenario here. Just plugging in, converting and plugging in and multiplying. Any questions for this example? Would anyone need more time to copy this information down? All right, moving on. 22. All right, so we'll plug in the formula. So P is 400. The rate 16% is 0.16. For the time, can someone shed some information on the time? Do I type in 9 or what would it be? Remember, what needs to be important about our time variable? It needs to be in what increment?
Years.
Years. And then when we have months, what do we do to it to get it to years?
You have to divide by 12.
That's correct. 9 divided by 12, which you can either leave it as 3/4 or write it as a decimal, which is 0.75. Thank you. Now we multiply all those and my calculator out. 400 times 0.16 times 0.75, which I got $48. Anyone need more time to copy this down before I move on? All right, moving on. Give you a few moments to write it down. All right, take a look at number 23. A student borrows 96,000 for 8 years at a simple interest rate of 12.5%. Find the interest paid on the loan and the total amount paid. So we have to find out how much interest she's gonna be paying. So we use the formula for I. The principal was 96,000. The interest rate was 0.125 or 12.5%. For 8 years, she paid this amount. So let's see how much interest she's gonna be paying on the student, on these student loans. So it'll be, get your calculator out, 96,000 times 0.125 times 8. I got, and hopefully you got 96,000. That is how much interest she's paying for the loan. Now to get the total amount, we have to add the interest plus the original amount, the principal. So it's gonna be 96,000 that she borrowed plus the 96,000 interest. So I'm gonna write the principal plus interest. So in total, she paid 192,000. Are there any questions on the steps here? All right, moving on. 24. Annie borrows 7,400 and agrees to pay it back in 8 years. If the simple interest rate is 4%, find the total amount she pays back. So this answer only wants the total, but to find the total, we must find first what? We need to first find the interest. So I'll give you a few moments to write this problem down. All right, to find the interest, we're gonna plug in the principal, which is 7,400 times the rate, which is 0.04 times the teen years, which is 8. Multiply those 3 to get the interest that she's gonna be paying for the loan. So 7,400 times 0.04 times 8. And I got 2,368. Now, we don't want the interest, we want the total, right? So then to get the total, we're gonna add the 7,400 plus the 2,368, which gives us 9,768. That's the total. Any questions on how we found the total? All right, last but not least, guys, last problem of the review. Find the simple interest, which is the formula I equals PRT. Which is gonna be 550 times 0.095 times 4. Use your calculator once you plug it in, and let's see what you get. Oh, I'll go back to 24, Joshua, my bad. Here you go. Let me know when you're good to go. All right, last one. Okay, I'm gonna go to 23 real quick for Kayla. Let me know when you're good to go, Kayla. Now I'll go back to 25, guys. My bad. Just letting people catch up. Okay, go back to 25. Let's finish off. So for this interest rate, when y'all multiply it, what'd y'all get? Anyone want to show what they got so far?
209.
209, that's correct. All right, class. So far, any questions on 25 or any of these problems of the review? 'Cause I know I gotta go back for a student who was missing the other ones, so they can take pictures. So I'm gonna go to 10, 11, and 12 for them, for people to take pictures or screenshots, whatever they want. So here's 10. Give you a few seconds to take a picture or screenshot. Here is 11 again. Give you a few moments to take a picture of that or screenshot. And then 12, last but not least. Is there any other questions that anyone would like for me to go back for you to be able to? Now remember, I am going to be posting this video on my YouTube channel. If you want to get notified when it gets uploaded, just subscribe to my channel and you'll be like you get a notification. Hey, Angel Pacheco has uploaded a new video. Now we can just start copying the review or wait till I email the link, either or. All right. Are there any other questions from the review that someone needs access to? That is correct. You see Daryl's message. Y'all can come see him or visit him to ask questions regarding the homeworks or anything from the review. prior to the exam, so that way you can be exposed to more of the material. All right. Let me see. So we went ahead and finished the review. It's 25 questions. You have 3 attempts and try to get it done by this Sunday, guys. So in your midterm grade is going to include test 1, test 2, and all the homeworks leading up to test 2. Okay, guys, those are the main ones. And then the next lesson we're going to do is 9.3. We're going to do one of these lessons right now. We're going to probably just do 9.3 and then stop after this lesson. And then we'll finish off because now we're on the material for test 3 now. Actually, I'm gonna stop here. We won't do this lesson. Actually, we'll start it next week. We'll just have crunch time next week when it comes to it. Just because my laptop doesn't have that much battery left, and I don't have my charger with me. My brother's borrowing it. So, all right, let me go ahead and stop recording.